I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you about the capital campaign of 2016. It was a 3-year campaign, and we approach its end in March of 2019. The campaign was based off of a list of priorities that really nothing was really that visible. A few things, audio visuals, for instance, were very noticeable. But primarily the work that was to be done based off of this campaign was infrastructure. Things like heating and air conditioning, things like lighting. Noticeable, but for you in the pew, you might not always have known the challenges that we were facing in trying to keep those things operating. For instance, there was one week where we couldn't get the lights to turn on in the sanctuary. The lighting and its controls was at a place where it had to be replaced. We had to update, and so there were issues like that. Sometimes you weren't aware of, but we knew had to be replaced. One Easter, the last Easter, we worshipped in the sanctuary before the repairs were made. Our maintenance personnel was here. He was trying to fix a short in some wiring underneath the floor in the sanctuary so that the air conditioning system could actually work. These were the kind of things that were happening behind the scenes that we had to fix. And some of these things were on lists that I found from 20, 25 years ago. Well, I'm pleased to say that our list of priorities, those priorities have been accomplished. We have been able to make the repairs we needed for the sanctuary building, and we have been able to do a few additional things in other worship spaces and around the building. Most importantly, we have been able to put quality heating and air conditioning systems in a number of places. We raised just a little over $1 million initially with the campaign in 16. Eventually, that number went up just above 1.1 million. And then eventually, we are seeing with additional gifts outside of pledges, we are seeing the potential that we will receive about 1.2 million. This will cover, if all funds come in as we expect, this will cover all of the expenses that we were able to do, all of the expenses for the projects that we were able to do, and we'll also be able to end in March of 2019 with no debt. That is awesome news. It's something we really should celebrate. It is an incredible journey that we've been on for the last 3 years, and the fruits of that are being felt throughout the building. Now, there's one piece I need to add to this, and that is during the projects that were a part of what I call phase one of the capital campaign. Those projects were being completed, but we had another major mechanical issue, which was the heating and air for the office spaces, along with the 3 nurseries along the main hall, and also the library, and the main hall where you come in through the garden entrance. That main hallway also had to be repaired. Rather than repairing, the decision was that we simply needed to replace those systems as well. They were over 30 years old. Some were much older than that, and it was time. So we had to have an additional $160,000 worth of work completed. I'm pleased to say to you that the Endowment Committee of East Heights, utilizing invested funds and the interest or the gains from those invested funds, has decided that the $160,000 in debt will be covered through the endowment. So the good news there is that we will complete the campaign if pledges come in as we anticipate, with no debt, and the additional debt that we had to accrue on top of what we had already spent, that will be covered by the endowment. This is good news because that means in 2019 we will not have to run a second capital campaign, not for a while at least. And so we are thankful for your generosity, for your spirit, for your prayers as we have completed these major building projects. And so we enter 2019 fairly close to being debt free. So, again, thank you for your stewardship. Thank you for your extra mile efforts. And this creates some interesting new opportunities for us in 2019. I invite you to click on General Operating Budget, that video, to hear a little bit more about how it is we might be able to see some revitalization in our ministries based off of not having to run a second campaign.